हम आइसक्रीम खाने बाहर जाएंगे कैसे? देखो मम्मी डंडे लेकर किचन में खाना बना रही है।
Oh, no.
अगर हम घर से बाहर गए तो मम्मी हमें डंडे से पिटाई करेगी। तो क्या करें, हमारे घर में एसी भी नहीं है और गर्मी भी लग रही है, तो मैं तो आइसक्रीम खाऊंगा। रुको, मेरे पास एक आइडिया है। कौन सा आइडिया चिंकी? मेरे पास एक रिमोट वाला नकली सांप है। मैं उस सांप को मम्मी के पास भेजूंगी और मम्मी डर के भाग जाएगी, तब हम आइसक्रीम खाने चले जाएंगे। अरे वाह चिंकी, ये तो बहुत ही बढ़िया आइडिया है। तो जल्दी जा चिंकी और नकली सांप लेकर आ। ठीक है, लेकर आती हूँ। ये देखो नकली सांप लेकर आ गई। ये तो बिल्कुल असली सांप की तरह दिख रहा है। मम्मी तो डर के मारे बेहोश हो जाएगी, बड़ा मजा आएगा। अब देखो मम्मी को कैसे डराती हूँ। उस नकली सांप को धीरे धीरे मम्मी के पैरों के पास लेकर जाओ चिंकी। अरे नहीं नहीं, उससे मम्मी ज्यादा डर जाएगी। अरे तभी तो हम आइसक्रीम खा पाएंगे। अरे मम्मी तो सांप की तरफ देख भी नहीं रही है। रुको, सांप से मम्मी के पैरों में ठोकर मारती हूँ। गर्मी में मच्छर बहुत ज्यादा हो गए हैं, मेरे पैरों में काट रहे हैं। ये लो, मम्मी तो सांप को मच्छर खा रही है। और तेज ठोकर मार चिंकी, तब जाके मम्मी देखेगी सांप को। तो ये लो। अरे क्या काट लिया मेरे पैरों में? सांप। अरे बाप रे, इतना जहरीला सांप कहाँ से आ गया हमारे घर में? मम्मी डर रही है चिंकी, सांप को आगे पीछे कर। अरे माई रे, चिंटू के पापा कहाँ हो? जल्दी आओ, किचन में जहरीला सांप घुस गया है। बड़ा मजा आ रहा है। हुई, चल भाग जा सांप यहाँ से, नहीं तो चिंटू के पापा तुम्हें मार देंगे। अब सांप को वहीं रहने दे और चलो आइसक्रीम खाते हैं। हाँ चलो। मम्मी अभी तक तो कोई भी नहीं आया हमारा आइसक्रीम खरीदने, तो अब क्या करें? तो चलो अब दूसरे गांव में चलते हैं। अरे वो देखो आइसक्रीम वाला गाड़ी जा रहा है, और तेज दौड़ो। अरे वो आइसक्रीम वाला, रुको, हम आ रहे हैं आइसक्रीम खरीदने के लिए, और तेज दौड़ो। मम्मी गाड़ी को रोको, 3 लड़के दौड़ते हुए आ रहे हैं आइसक्रीम खरीदने के लिए। क्या? अरे रुको रे आइसक्रीम वाला। अरे हाँ, लड़के तो आ रहे हैं, अभी रोकती हूँ। आइसक्रीम वाला गाड़ी रुक गया, और तेज चलो। बोलो कौन सा वाला आइसक्रीम दूं तुम सबको? आम वाला, लीची वाला या कटहल वाला? अरे ये तो एक बिल्ली आइसक्रीम बेच रही है। बोलो कौन सा वाला आइसक्रीम दे दूं? मुझे आम वाला दे दो बिल्ली मौसी, और मुझे लीची वाला दे दो, और मैं तो कटहल वाला आइसक्रीम खाऊंगी। ठीक है, रुको, तुम तीनों को आइसक्रीम देता हूँ। ये लो तुम्हारा आम वाला, और ये लो तुम्हारा लीची वाला, और ये रहा तुम्हारा कटहल वाला। अरे पैसे भी तो दो, बिना पैसे दिए ही तुम तीनों फटाफट आइसक्रीम खाने लगे। चिंटू तुम पैसा लाए हो? चिंकी क्या तुम पैसा लाई हो? नहीं, मेरे पास पैसा नहीं है। बाबू चल अपने चड्डी में से पैसा निकाल। पैसा मेरे पास भी नहीं है। तुम तीनों के पास पैसा नहीं है और तुम तीनों आइसक्रीम खरीदने के लिए चले आए। इन तीनों को उल्टा टांग दो गाड़ी से बांधकर। क्या?
Late daughter. The same red thread she had clung to, carrying memory, grief, and warning all at once. Some people carry more than just bags. They carry silence. The words echoed in her mind again, looping from platform to office, from yesterday to now. They weren't hers alone. They were theirs, stitched into the invisible thread connecting loss, survival, and expectation. Her chest heaved with realization and fear. Every step forward now felt irreversible. She had crossed a line, unspoken and unseen, that demanded she confront the collision of her past and his secrets. The red scarf in her hand was no longer just a relic of her childhood or a shield against hardship. It was a key, a testament, and a challenge. Her heart raced as she ascended the elevator, the hum vibrating beneath her feet like a warning drum. There was no turning back. She could choose to walk away, but the pull, the gravity of all that had led to this moment, was too strong. The doors slid open to the top floor. She stepped into the space, silent, polished, waiting. Her hand tightened around the scarf. The moment felt suspended, like the pause before a storm breaks, and she knew, whatever she said, whatever she saw, whatever she became, nothing would ever be the same again. Her gaze swept the room, catching a shadow behind a glass panel, a hint of recognition, and she moved forward. The platform was empty now, the echoes of earlier crowds fading into memory. Rain had stopped, leaving the concrete glistening like dark glass. She stood where she had first seen him, the small suitcase at her feet forgotten, replaced by the weight of choices heavier than metal. He approached slowly, the red scarf folded neatly in his hands. The wind stirred it as he extended it toward her, but she didn't reach out immediately. Her fingers brushed the edge instead, feeling the thread, the loss, the memory it had carried from mother to daughter, from past to present. "I never thought I'd see it again," he said softly, voice low, not loud enough for anyone else to hear. His eyes didn't look at her. They looked past, into a space shaped by absence, grief, and time. She shook her head, fighting tears she hadn't expected. "It wasn't mine to keep," she whispered. The scarf was no longer a shield, no longer a comfort. It was a bridge. He studied her for a long moment, and then he nodded, as if acknowledging something older than either of them. He had chosen her, not for love, not for what she wanted, but because she carried a spark of someone he had lost, someone he could not reclaim. She realized then that her role had changed. She was no longer the girl waiting for answers. She had become the keeper of a memory, a witness to grief, and the silent architect of healing. The suitcase at her feet felt inconsequential now. She bent, picked it up, and with careful hands, returned it to the corner of the platform where she had left it days ago. She left behind what she had carried for so long, fear, doubt, and the weight of survival, without needing to discard it violently. He took a step closer, but she didn't reach for him. Instead, she handed the scarf back, fully aware of its power, aware that its story was no longer hers alone. "Some things are meant to be given, not kept," she said, voice trembling but clear. He tucked it into his coat, the finality settling like fog between them. For a moment, they simply stood, two figures in the wet light, bound by threads of memory, silence, and recognition. The wind tugged gently at their hair, carrying with it the residue of storms past, of choices made, of invisible bridges crossed. She turned to leave, her footsteps steady now, a quiet strength in each motion. He did not call her back. She didn't expect him to. Some things are not meant to linger, not meant to belong. As she walked away, the train tracks glimmered beneath the fading clouds, a reminder of journeys begun and ended, of paths intersecting and diverging. And in the space between the platform and the streets beyond, she understood the truth. Not every stranger you help is meant to stay, but some leave you changed forever. The red scarf, tucked safely in his coat, fluttered once in the wind, a silent witness to endings and beginnings, to loss and reclamation, to the quiet power of giving rather than taking. The streets were quiet now, the early morning sun painting gold across brick sidewalks and shuttered shop windows. She walked alone, suitcase in hand, though its weight no longer pressed on her shoulders. Each step felt deliberate, measured, a rhythm she had claimed for herself. The red scarf lay folded in a drawer at home, the light from the window catching its frayed edges. She hadn't needed it today, hadn't needed it yesterday. It was no longer a shield, no longer a talisman. It had become memory, a testament to what had passed, and what had quietly reshaped her. Her thoughts drifted to the stranger, to the brief moments of recognition, the subtle understanding that had passed between them like a hidden current. Sometimes love is not romance. It's recognition, she whispered, words from her own heart or perhaps borrowed from a moment long before. She could not say whether they were hers or his, but they fit, like puzzle pieces that had always been meant to meet. Around her, the city breathed in its usual rhythm. A cat weaving between parked cars, the distant hum of a streetcar, a woman calling to her child. She noticed these small things now, really noticed. Before, the world had felt like a blur, a rush of necessity and survival. Now, every detail, every movement, held weight, significance, and quiet beauty. She paused on a bridge, staring at the river below, sunlight rippling across the water like liquid glass. She let the wind touch her hair, cool and persistent, brushing against her cheek like a whisper. It reminded her of that first day on the train platform, the moment everything had begun, the fear, the hesitation, the pull of something unseen. She smiled faintly, not a triumph, not relief, but understanding. Her suitcase trailed behind her, a shadow of who she had been. She did not need to unpack it immediately. Some burdens were carried in memory. Some were meant to rest in drawers, carefully folded, and some were left to shape the steps forward. As she turned a corner, the city stretched before her, open and uncertain. She felt a quiet strength rising, soft but insistent, the kind that comes from having seen the weight of life, having touched its edges, and having survived. The scarf rested in its drawer. The river shimmered beneath her gaze. The world continued to hum, and she walked on, carrying herself with a balance between caution and courage. Not every ending is closure, and not every beginning is arrival. Some moments exist to remind us we are still learning how to hold ourselves. She let the thought linger as she disappeared into the morning light, the story unfinished, but somehow whole.